Hello, everybody, and welcome. I am going to be off starting today on the 15th of July 2025 for a while from work. So I've got some things I need to finish shoring up, and I couldn't help but notice what's advertised on Rob Reed's websites. This is Rob's websites in his own words, and we will get to that in just a moment. In fact, what I find very interesting, as I've said in the title, is that his qualifications both disqualify him and damn him. Rob loves to comment like he is an expert on criminal law, which would include criminal prosecution or defense, and a criminal trial like the Joshua Bell case, which he's represented himself as an expert on or worthy to comment upon. However, according to his own websites, he doesn't have any qualifications to speak about that. So let's show that. I'll add this to scene. Let me be sure I transition this over. And let me put this full screen. There you go. Here is, shall we say, exhibit number one. Here is Rob's outdated HTTP website, which is robreed.com/about, and it was last updated in January 2024. Rob calls himself a jack of all trades and a master of none because he has so many varied interests that he has little time to become an expert in anything. Okay, so that's not good off the start. Number one, you are not an expert. You admit right on your own page that you are not an expert. He is a Christian Los Angeles personal injury attorney, fantasy baseball geek, proprietor, and designer of a number of websites, which, like this one here, he will use to dox you if you send him a notice against a DMCA claim. He will use that to dox you, and he will abuse the DMCA system to bury evidence and ask lawyers. I'll take a look at that in a minute. Now, this blog is a little dated, but let's see. Personal injury attorney. Now, the last time I checked, if you're a personal injury attorney, you have the expertise to comment on matters relating to personal injury, slip and falls, things like that, car wrecks, defamation and slander. And that's relevant too, because we're going to take a look in just a moment at his Ask Lawyers domain, asklawyers.com, because where Rob's qualifications damn him, we will see there in just a minute. But the last I saw, I thought if you are a personal injury lawyer, you do not do criminal law. You do personal injury law. And almost any self respecting attorney, if you call up a personal injury attorney about a criminal matter, will probably refer you to a personal injury lawyer because they don't do that kind of law. If you call up say, for example, a tax attorney and try to ask him questions about internet domains, he's probably going to refer you to another attorney because he doesn't know very much about that, more likely than not. However, I can't help but notice this sentence here. Rob calls himself a jack of all trades and master of none because he has so many and varied interests that he has little time to become an expert in anything. If you have been a member of the California Bar Association since 1995, which would make about 3 decades as of this year, how do you have an inability to become an expert in any kind of law? I don't understand that. The lawyers that I've met who've served the public for decades and decades usually specialize in some kind of law. They're very good, they're expert level at usually one or two, maybe three types of law. And there's almost always one area in which they just completely excel. It's where they built their reputation. It's the kind of law they do. But for Rob, apparently he's too distracted from any specific kind of law and cannot specialize in any kind of law after 3 decades of being a lawyer. I find that pretty incredulous, don't you? I want to take a look now at another one of his domains, which is his personal injury law. Let's go here to his Ask Lawyers domain. You'll see how he advertises himself. Let me just verify that you see that. Yes, you do. I don't know if anybody's watching or commenting or not, but you should see his Ask Lawyers domain, and I take it that you hear me. If not, then I'll redo this on StreamYard. But here is his Ask Lawyers domain, and he advertises himself on his website as follows. Rob Reed practices primarily civil litigation with particular emphasis on personal injury, automobile, bus slip, and fall accidents, business startups, incorporation and general business advice, internet law, defamation, trademark, copyright, domain disputes, copyright law with an emphasis on the music industry, and adoption and surrogacy. He is licensed to practice in the state of California and in the federal district courts and has been in practice since December 1995. Now, I find this interesting because nowhere in here is he certified to talk about criminal law at all. But last I checked, if you run around slandering people as pedophiles, if you run around saying to people that uh, they're child molesters, you make fun of their disabilities, that would be internet law, which means Rob knows exactly what he is doing when he mocks my disabilities, when he attacks Smokey Saint, when he attacks Josh Bell, when he admitted that Josh Bell is a separate person and therefore a separate legal entity. So I wonder how he's going to fare with that one when the time shall come with the Bar Association. I don't think he's going to be able to get out of that one too easily. But I find it interesting. Let's see. Civil litigation, slip fall accident, automotive, business startups, internet law. None of that seems to have any relevance to a criminal trial like the Joshua Bell case. Rob's been running around for all these years now, probably 5+ years, talking about a kind of law that he doesn't practice and does not have the qualifications to talk about. However, this is the so-called legal expert that we are supposed to listen to on these matters. The other thing I think is interesting is this federal district court. I have a stream from 2023 where Rob comes onto my channel and tries to lie about the nature of hate crimes. And what was interesting about that is that Rob knows that there is a law known as the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Hate Crime Prevention Act, which is a very stringent federal law designed to prosecute and prevent hate crimes. It carries some pretty stiff sentencing, such as a decade in federal prison per offense, and the offenses stack on top of one another. Now, I wonder if he's licensed to practice in the federal district courts. Why would he try to lie about a federal statute like the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Hate Crime Prevention Act? That doesn't make a lot of sense. It would appear to me that if he is licensed to practice in federal district court, he would understand the nature of a federal act, because he's more than happy and has done so historically to threaten DMCA lawsuits due to the fact that he is a copyright lawyer and he has tried to strike away the archives before. So there's that. And of course, it says nothing about the strikes he's leveled against, say, for example, Dick Shades before on YouTube. But isn't that interesting? Rob is not a criminal lawyer. Rob does not have the qualifications to talk at all about a criminal case like the Josh Bell case. And yet, he presents himself as though he's criminal. So before I come to the conclusion of this stream, I'll leave an open question for Rob, and I'd love for him to answer it. What was the last case that you took to court, and when was the last time, if ever, in your 30-year career in the legal profession as a member of the California State Bar and apparently licensed to practice in the federal district court, Rob, that you ever went to trial? I'm just curious. I wonder if he will answer, because every other time I ask him questions like this, he just dodges it. He doesn't answer it at all. So we shall see if he answers it. Doubtful. Now let me come back to myself. Take this transition away. Add to scene. Move. Let me put myself back up here. That's basically all I wanted to cover. And hopefully you have heard me, as I don't always get these EVMux features correct. But I'm curious, what does a California lawyer who practices civil litigation, when he does practice law, have the qualifications to talk about any kind of criminal trial when he doesn't do criminal trial law? He doesn't advertise that he does criminal trial law. And on his personal website, it basically admits that he is a master of no kind of law. He's just a general dabbler with too many hobbies and in interests in different matters to have expertise in one particular field of law. That's weird. I don't understand how you do that. How are you a member of the State Bar, California, and the federal license to practice in the federal district court since 1995, and you don't specialize in a particular area of the law? That's weird. Almost all lawyers that I've ever met who practice law in any state, even federally, on the federal courts, usually have some kind of specialty, no matter what it is: tax law, firearms law, uh, property law, social security stuff. Usually they're pretty good at it. Not Rob, apparently. Well, thanks for talking to y'all, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Next stream I plan on having will probably be about St. Athanasius, because I'd like to finish that. But I have a bar complaint to finish, so I need to continue inserting links and timestamps, things like that. But it is close to being done, and I'm hoping that Rob Reed will provide clarification on why he has represented himself to be an expert when, one, he admits that he is not an expert on any kind of law, and two, the law he does practice is all civil. Maybe he'll elaborate. Take care.